Oh, he's the shove-it man!
Alright, keeping it brief or I'll knock out your teeth. It's episode 8 and 9 of NWA TNA. Watch it tonight or watch it today. I don't care. The show starts out with Apollo and the Dups waiting outside evil management figure Ricky Steamboat's office. I almost turned off the show. We start with a match tonight. It's the first appearance of the SATs in Amazing Red, and they're taking on the Flying Elvises and their amazing theme music. Amazing Red boots Sonny Siaki, but then he gets beheaded with a clothesline. Siaki hits the press into the Samoan drop, and I was okay with him doing this. This one seems to be under Tornado rules, with everyone doing what they want. The Elvises hit a triple powerbomb and they look like they might win this one. Siaki dumps Red out the ring like a piece of trash. The Elvises want to mess around and do Elvis impersonations, but Siaki pretty much hates the gimmick. Siaki is left to fight the match on his own. The other two Elvises join the commentary team, and Jorge Estrada starts singing Elvis songs whilst the match is taking place. Siaki continues the match on his own and he manages to kick out of the SAT stretch. Siaki hits a huge pump handle suplex and then Jimmy Yang decides to return to the match, but Siaki still refuses to tag him in. Red hits a bad looking kick on Siaki, and then Red kicks Siaki on the top rope, and the Spanish announce team hit the Spanish Fly. Amazing Red then hits the infrared. It should be over, but the Elvises decide to come back in and break up the pin. Red is really bossing this match and he hits the code red, but the pin is broken up. Really good opener here. Just as I say that, the Spanish announce team botch a move. Estrada then wipes them both out from the top. The Elvises then fly through the air to take out the Amazing Red. They start messing around again, so Siaki rolls in to make the pin. The other Elvises are annoyed with him, but all he did was make sure that they won the match. It's not his fault they're too stupid to do it for themselves. It's good to see an X Division storyline though. We cut to an interview of Apollo.
The baddest, the biggest, the toughest, the number 2 man in the business.
He's moaning that he's not been given a world title shot despite being undefeated. Apollo calls Ricky Steamboat corrupt. Well, I won't argue with that. So far every decision that Steamboat's made's been appalling. He says he's going to confront him tonight. Oh right, so that seems to be now. As AJ Styles is coming out of the office looking smug, Steamboat gives Apollo the jobber treatment. The Dups are here as well, and then suddenly AJ and Lynn are brawling backstage. Rick the Corrupt Dragon Steamboat is out next, but Stand Up and Shut Up are following him and annoying him. He tells them to just go away and do whatever they want. Okay, it's the TNA World Heavyweight title on the line now. Ron the Truth Killings is the challenger here. He got this match last week by kissing Ricky Steamboat's ass. He said that Ricky was the IC champion and never got a world title in the WWF. Dragon agreed with his point despite Truth never actually even being close to a WWF main event, so the point didn't really make sense. What did they have in common? The champion is Ken Shamrock. I think this is only about the 4th time we've even seen him on this show. He's not exactly been plastered all over the product despite being the champion. I tell a lie, he's defended the title against Malice and Amore. It's just very forgettable stuff. Both men have kicks for each other. This is quite an intriguing match for me. They keep talking about how this match is a 60-minute time limit, but I really don't think it's going to be necessary. Shamrock powerbombs Truth out the corner. He then puts the ankle lock on and lobs Truth out the ring. Lots of wrestlers start lurking around the outside, but Ricky says no interference is allowed. Truth suplexes Shamrock on the outside of the ring. Then Shamrock tries to make Truth submit to the armbar, but he fails, and then Shamrock just looks around dazed and confused. Suddenly Apollo runs out to attack Truth, and then all the wrestlers start fighting. Apollo hits a super kick on Shamrock, and then Ricky the Corrupt Dragon Steamboat rolls him into the ring, yet no one mentions how unfair that was on Shamrock. Truth then hits a cutter and pins Shamrock for the 3. Truth is the 2nd NWA World Heavyweight Champion in TNA, and the first black man to win the title. And he ends Shamrock's pretty bad world title run. No mention here of how Shamrock essentially got screwed. Corrupt Boat comes back out of the mic and calls out Apollo. He tells him to come out so they can start talking. If Apollo's promos so far are anything to go by, I don't think anyone wants him to come out here and start talking. He tells Apollo he can't run around here like a maniac anymore. He then gives him a world title shot and tells him he deserved it. What, for ruining the last match? Suddenly a wild slapnuts appears. Jarrett says it's not fair and he wants a shot. He says for some reason he's been passed by. He did beat Scott Hall last week. Jarrett says that because he's white he's not been given a shot. He claims it's reverse discrimination. Corrupt Boat says he's tired of hearing from Jarrett and makes a match of Jarrett versus Apollo for the #1 contendership. He also says that he'll be the special referee. Well, that means a win for Jarrett is pretty much nailed on given Steamboat's involvement last time he reffed. Next up it's Jive talking with Disco Inferno. He's interrupted by the Dups and Disco asks them which Dup is which. Disco tells them how much they smell. Shut Up introduces the Dup Cup and says that it's going to be the new hardcore division in TNA, and they call Steamboat Steamship. They go on to explain the rules of the Dup Cup. Here's the point scoring system on the board. Read it for yourselves. If any of you have seen my New Jack video in TNA, it's just another example of TNA trying to put point scoring on hardcore matches. It doesn't work. This goes on for a while. Stand Up says that Goldilocks is his girlfriend, and the Dups start threatening Disco Inferno for being horrible to her. Paulina Gupta from Tough Enough comes out to protect Disco. This would be her final TNA appearance. They then offer their girlfriend/sister Fluffed Up to the winner of a Dup Cup match. Jeff Hardy's fake stoner friend wants to sleep with her, and he accepts the challenge and hits Jeremy Borash to claim the first points. What follows is 5 minutes of Ed Ferrara getting beaten up by the Dups. The Dups bring out a sex toy and hit Ferrara with it. An old lady attacks Shut Up with a broom. It's crazy how long they've spent on this segment in total. It's so hard to follow. Ed Ferrara hits Shut Up with a horse, but then Shut Up likes it, so Ed loses points because he likes it. Who the hell came up with this? Shut Up chokeslams Ed through the table, and it's over. No chance for Jeff Hardy's fake stoner friend to sleep with Fluffed Up tonight. Where is she, by the way? Has she left the company or something? Mike Tenay interviews Monty Brown in a park next. He mostly just makes fun of Truth. Suddenly he's attacked by Elix Skipper with a paint can. Skipper covers him in yellow paint and keeps saying, "Not in my house." Was this his catchphrase or something? He says it about 4 times.
And as far as I'm concerned, all you are is a chicken. And I'm not having it. Not in my house.
Next up is a first blood match. It's Malice, who's gone from a main eventer to a loser in 7 episodes of TNA, and his opponent is one of the Nazi brothers. Malice eats a jackboot to the face and then they brawl in the crowd. They fight in front of a bar with Malice not doing very well. Malice takes several chair shots and then he suddenly wakes up. He's about to lose, so Slash interferes with a screwdriver. The Nazi boy takes him out though. They get in the ring and the Nazi hits a side slam. But then he suddenly starts bleeding. Malice wins the match in extremely unconvincing fashion. 90% of you watching right now are straight, but there are 10% of you watching right now that are homosexual. And that's okay, because you're all watching me together. It's the Rainbow Express, or at least it's just Bruce. He's backstage making fun of Taylor Vaughn. The man in the blonde wig lady says, "Get out of here, homo." Bruce then challenges her to an evening gown match tonight. Great. Styles and Loki are then brawling in a puke-coloured lavatory. We get a number 1 contendership match now, a lot on the show tonight. Steamboat physically stops Apollo from hitting Jarrett and he's able to get the advantage because of this, but only briefly because Apollo's too big. Apollo kicks Jarrett from the ring apron. He wants to jump from the top, but Steamboat is arguing with him too much and he gets distracted. Jarrett gets back in the ring, but Apollo gets a 2 count from a sky high. Apollo then gets another 2 count and Jarrett might be in trouble here. Jarrett finally gets an advantage by throwing Apollo into the steps. Apollo gets busted open, then Jarrett grabs a steel chair, but Steamship surprisingly stops him. Jarrett gets a 2 count on an enziguri kick. Jarrett is supposed to be the heel here, but the crowd are cheering him for some reason. Jarrett puts on the figure 4 leg lock whilst the crowd chant, "Make him tap." Back on his feet, Apollo hits a tornado DDT. This is a pretty good match. Apollo nails Jarrett with a super kick, but Jarrett gets his foot on the ropes. Apollo then hits a bridging German suplex and the ref starts to count, but Jarrett gets his shoulder up. But Apollo didn't, so the match is over and it's given to Jarrett. Even if that was legit, when is Steamship gonna turn heel already? These actions, man. Apollo starts threatening Steamship and some little goons with nightsticks run out and take him away. Steamship then says that Jarrett can face the Truth, but not with the title on the line. He then says Jarrett can team up with Truth against AJ Styles and Jerry Lynn for the tag belts. Well, that's not exactly what the agreement was, is it? Is this guy on drugs? Nothing he's saying is making sense. Why is this guy screwing everybody? Jarrett is pissed off, and for the first time in my life, I see things from Jeff Jarrett's perspective. Next up, a blonde man in a wig, Taylor Vaughn. She'll be taking on Bruce, a blonde woman in a wig, for the Miss TNA crown. Why am I starting to like the Rainbow Express's theme song? It's nowhere on YouTube though. The crowd chant "You suck dick" at Bruce. I honestly believe this Rainbow Express gimmick would have worked if Joel Gertner had stuck around. Bruce hits a vertical suplex but holds Taylor Vaughn in the air for ages so everyone can see her lingerie. Bruce then very carefully strips Taylor Vaughn and it's over. Bruce gets the mic and then he starts stripping because he doesn't want to disappoint the crowd. He actually gets blurred on the Impact Wrestling app, which is the first time I've ever seen this happen. I'm thankful for a few reasons. Number 1, I didn't want to see it. Number 2, we don't need the stupid Hawk sensor. And number 3, I don't want to feel sick. Main event triple threat for the X Division title now. It's the Warrior Loki versus Jerry Lynn versus the X Division champion AJ Styles. AJ debuts his I Am theme here. It certainly beats Born and Raised in the USA. I think somebody's cut off the top of his hat though. What follows is rated as one of the best X Division matches of all time. I can't call all the moves because we'll be here till my beat turns grey, but just go and watch this one if you can. There's no bull here, it's just 3 wrestlers trying to win. Loki hits a nice move to get a 2 for the price of 1. Loki then does a lovely roll through to put the Dragon Clutch on Styles, but Jerry Lynn stops him. Styles does that pointless moonsault of Jerry Lynn's chest in the corner again. That really doesn't achieve anything, does it? But it looks cool. Lynn throws Styles into Loki, who hits the nicest reverse DDT I've ever seen him do. Such flawless transitions in this match. We get a tower spot in the corner, and the crowd are almost rioting with excitement. These 3 guys are so polished. There's no hesitation with any of the moves they do. They then have a game of how many different kind of pins can they do. Styles tries a double reverse DDT, but he gets caught and shunted into the corner. Loki puts on that cool dragon submission in the corner again. This should have been like his tarantula is to Tajiri. Styles wipes out Loki. Loki goes for the key crusher, but instead he gives AJ Styles his own move, the Styles Clash. Jerry Lynn then hits the key crusher on Loki. Styles hits the cradle piledriver on Jerry Lynn as Mike Tenay starts to lose his voice. I've never heard this guy so excited, he's usually a corpse most weeks. Then there's a ref bump. Styles brings a chair into the match and wallops Jerry Lynn. Then he does a weird dance. Styles climbs to the top, but Loki sneaks into the ring and covers Jerry Lynn. The referee counts 1, 2, and then AJ lands on top of them with the spiral tap. The referee then counts 3, because apparently he didn't dislodge Loki from the pinfall. Loki is the new X Division champion. Great match, watch it if you can. It's not too long either for those of you with ADHD. Jarrett is fighting in the back with Killings, and back in the ring Styles and Lynn are fighting. And then the show ends. Wow, talk about highs and lows. Great matches this week, but that Dup Cup and the Miss TNA stuff was some of the worst stuff I've ever seen. No midgets this week either, there's a shocker. Now we're going to watch episode 9. We start out the show with the new NWA Heavyweight Champion, Ron the Truth Killings. Truth christens the building the Asylum. So there you guys go, that's where the name came from. This Truth promo. Who would have expected that to stick? Truth plays the race card for the first time and says that his career has been hard done by due to the colour of his skin. He talks about his time as K-Quick in the WWF. He says he was told by a senior official that he wasn't allowed to make the same mistakes as the other wrestlers due to his colour. Truth says that we'll all get an opportunity at some point in our lives and we've got to take that chance when we get it. Very motivational. He's then interrupted by Slapnuts, who'll be teaming with Killings tonight. Jeff pretty much says what he said last week and says that it's a reverse discrimination case.
All right, Walt Disney, put your dreams away because you're looking at your worst nightmare. Just like I said last week, Ron, what we have here is a case of reverse discrimination.
Jarrett asks Truth for a world title shot and Truth accepts it. Then some vile music hits and a complete goon in a straw hat comes out with some scrubs. The Straw Hat Man says that he's now in control of the show, and he calls Jeff Jarrett Slapnuts. Isn't this one of the guys that Jeff stripped and left tied up backstage in an earlier show? This guy is sort of terrible and funny in the same way. I mean, Jarrett finds him funny, he's practically wetting himself. He then stops laughing when he hears that the NWA won't sanction any match between the two for the world title. He then calls Jarrett Slippy, Swoopy Slapnuts.
Roll that around in your little pea brain, slippy, slappy, slap stuff.
The only thing that I'm gonna roll is your ass all over this damn building.
Jarrett then gets jumped by Jerry's kid. Ugh, it was nice not having him on the last show, wasn't it? Lawler tries to get a steel chair, but the fan refuses to let go and Lawler has a tug of war with her. He can't even get the chair off an 80-pound man, what a goon. Lawler is screaming, "I know what you did" at Jarrett. We have the opening match now, which is a 6-man tag team match. It's Kid Cash, who looks like a burnt packet of Walker's Crisps at the back of your mum's cupboard, and he teams with Shark Boy and Slim J, who's an M&M impersonator. They're taking on a Spanish announce team in Amazing Red. This is a pretty good match. I watched this back from my bad TNA gimmick video. Cash is really the only heel in this matchup, and I might make fun of him, but he's actually really good. Slim J moonsaults onto a bunch of guys on the outside. He's so light I doubt it would even hurt. Red follows up his dive with one of his own. Kid Cash then hits an even more spectacular dive as he gets some serious hang time. Cash works with Slim Jesus. Slim then grabs his crotch but misses the following move. He gets used like a trampoline by the SATs. They then put a funny submission on him and Shark Boy, and then Red boots them. Slim is probably the only wrestler who can match Red's minuscule size. He likes to grab his crotch before every move he does. Cash power slams Red off the top, but then the pin gets broken up. Slim Jesus misses a huge dive from the top. He might have hit it if he wasn't too busy rubbing his crotch. Cash springboards off the ropes into the Hurricanrana. Lovely move. Shark Boy almost wins the match, but he doesn't manage it. Back in the ring, Cash hits a huge move on Red, but it gets broken up. This is another really good wrestling match featuring some lesser known guys. Catch it if you can. Slim Jesus gets beaten with the Spanish Fly from the top, and then Amazing Red hits the Infrared, whilst looking like Ronald McDonald. Goldilocks is back this week interviewing the Dups. They're hitting on her, so she hits stand up in the nutsack. They're standing in front of a Portaloo saying this is their house and they're going to do an MTV Cribs show. There's not really much to show, it's just toilet humour about how there's turds that have been there for 5 years. 90% of you I'm not doing it again. It's Bruce, Miss TNA. She talks on the mic about how other women are jealous of her, whilst the crowd chant "You suck beak" for a very long time. I literally can't hear what the promo is because of all the beeping.
I have a proposition for you women in the crowd tonight. For any of you hose bags, you fat cows.
She talks about how she can steal anybody's husband. See, this is where this gimmick died. The original message of the Rainbow Express was that it didn't matter if they were gay or straight, because they could wrestle. But now he's not wrestling, is he? He's just threatening to f people and being stereotypical. He starts challenging people in the crowd. We finally get to see Athena. This is the TNA ring girl who all the signs are about, and she's on screen for literally half a second. He finally selects someone from the crowd. It's a lady with the same hairstyle as old Molly 2 pence down the road from you. She beats the hell out of Bruce and then lobs him out the ring. Her sister with the exact same haircut and the crowd loves it. She's obviously a trained wrestler, but Bruce eventually small packages her for the free. Pointless and a waste of time. Moving on. Goldilocks is backstage with Jeff Jarrett, asking Jarrett what he did to Lawler. Jarrett says he has no idea what's wrong with him. Jarrett then talks Goldie into the toilets, and he grabs the straw hat man from a toilet cubicle and threatens him. There's random wrestlers walking everywhere, and Tio the Midget slightly bumps into Shut Up, who immediately challenges him to a match. It's a Dup Cup match, so feel free to spray your ass now. Tio the Midget takes Jeremy Borash straight away to take the lead. Don West is frantically explaining the rules as the match goes on, and it sounds ridiculous. Shut Up randomly pulls his pants down and he gets hit in the nutsack with the horse, but he doesn't like it. He then starts screaming to lose more points.
If you scream like a pussy, you lose 5 points!
There are literally 11 rules. The score at this point is -4 to 4. What am I watching here? They have a little people table and then the midget gets thrown into it. Don West gets his ass pinched for some reason, so that's more points scored. Stan is trying to get the ticket lady again, who's beating him with a broom again. Shut Up then goes to put the midget in the Portaloo, but then the Psycho Dwarf is in there and he hits Shut Up. Tio the Midget wins the match by jamming Shut Up's head into the toilet. It went about 10 minutes again. What's TNA's obsession with midgets? Next up we have a long recap of the Monty Brown vs Elix Skipper feud that I would forgive you if you'd forgotten even existed. Elix Skipper comes out for a street fight against Monty Brown, but instead he cuts a promo about how TNA is his house. Skipper runs up the ramp and tries to jump Monty, but he comes through the other entrance. Monty's doing alright until he tries to do a dive off the apron and Skipper hits him with his fist, which is wrapped in a chain. Hardcore icon Elix Skipper uses the trash can lid all over Monty. The alpha male tries to recover, but Skipper does that Matrix move and Monty crashes into the trash. Skipper almost puts Monty away on the outside. Monty hits a move that they call the Alpha-lution, and the commentary team laugh at how stupid the name is. The match ends when Monty hits the Alpha Bomb onto the trash can. I don't think it was ever really in doubt, was it? Backstage, Goldilocks is with the Flying Elvises. Sonny doesn't want anything to do with the interview. They keep talking about Elvis until Siaki shuts them up. His promos have been a bit hit and miss so far, but he puts the other two to shame on this one. He says his name way too much though. I know The Rock talks in the third person a lot, but really, is that the part of his gimmick you took the most from? Loki, the X Division champion, is now defending the title against all 3 of the Flying Elvises. Doesn't seem entirely fair. Well, although they're all in the same team, eventually Loki does tag out and they fight each other in good spirits. Estrada apparently taps out to Jimmy Wang Yang. Anyway, Sonny Siaki screws Jimmy and then Loki hits the Key Crusher for the free. Sonny almost puts Loki away, but there's a bit of a size difference, so Key is having trouble knocking him down. Jimmy then screws over Siaki in return and Loki rolls him up for the free. Not that much to say on this one. Next up, Goldilocks goes for a drive in the Jerry Lynn mobile. Then he stops and charges out the car. and he jumps AJ Styles from behind. I have literally no idea what Styles was doing here, it looked like a drug deal. And then he dumps him in a bathtub. It's your favourite TV segment next, it's Jive Talking with Disco Inferno. He introduces his guest for the night, who is Dean Baldwin. This is really Shark Boy on mask portraying a fake Baldwin brother. He says he's making a movie called Pearl Harbor 2. The crowd get really restless during this segment, which has literally nothing to do with wrestling by the way. It's just two guys smoking, drinking and talking complete nonsense. They're eventually interrupted by a miserable looking Brian Lawler. Shark Boy asks him what his name is and tells him to beat it. Probably the only funny part of the segment. Lawler destroys him and the Jive Talking set. Security have to take him away and we still don't know what he's upset about. Disco says that he'll be back next week with a famous celebrity, but in reality that was the last time we ever saw Jive Talking. Rest in peace Jive Talking. The Dups are backstage flipping out about losing the Dup Cup. I can't believe how much TV time these two guys have gotten in these last two shows. Main event now is Jeff Jarrett and the NWA World Champion Ron the Truth Killings versus Jerry Lynn, who's now coming out to born and raised in the USA. What's their obsession with this song? Lynn gets jumped and there's no sign of his partner AJ. I don't blame him, he's probably still stuck in that bathtub. Wait, no, here he is, and he takes out Jarrett and Killings. It seems that AJ and Lynn are putting their hatred to the side just so they can defend their tag belts. Styles hits a moonsault off the apron onto Slapnuts. Jerry Lynn hits a top rope bulldog onto R-Truth, not a move that you see every day. Jarrett breaks up the pin. There then starts to be a bit of dissension, or it was a botch, who knows, who cares. AJ Styles and Jerry Lynn actually start working together, and this time AJ definitely botches. Then there's a ref bump. Lynn has the match won, but the ref's gone. Lynn hits the cradle power driver on Killings, but the ref's still out. Jarrett hits the stroke on Jerry Lynn, but while that's happening AJ hits the spiral tap on Killings. Then there's a double cover, and both refs count the 3. An NWA goon then takes the belts away and says it's a draw and the belts are being held up. He also announces that Monty Brown will be challenging Truth next week for the World Heavyweight title. He also announces that Lynn and Styles will be having their #1 contendership match for the X Division title against each other in a 2 out of 3 falls match. This old crony feels so out of place on the show, he can barely speak or move. Jarrett is flipping out saying what about his match with Truth? Instead of the match he wants, he'll be facing a mystery opponent. Jarrett says screw you to the guy and then takes the belt hostage. Then, to end the show, Brian Lawler chokes Jeff Jarrett out backstage and tells him that he's going to kill him. I literally, on all these hours I spent making YouTube videos, I have never, ever seen Jeff Jarrett's point of view or felt sorry for him in any way. Well, this is a first on this channel, and if you don't agree with that, I'll choke you with a flannel.